Imagine a place so deep within the suffocating embrace of the Indonesian jungle that the outside world feels like a distant memory. Here, the air is thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, and the silence is not empty, it is heavy. It watches you. In the heart of this living green hell stands a structure that defies all logic, a grotesque monument to nature gone wrong. A colossal, misshapen anthill looming like a dark tombstone against the twilight sky. The locals don't just fear this place. They worship it, trembling in the shadows of its twisted spires. It is said that to keep the devil at bay, to satiate the hunger of an ancient evil that sleeps beneath the roots, the villagers must make the ultimate sacrifice. They give up their children. Small, innocent souls are offered to the darkness, their screams swallowed by the canopy, never to be heard again. The mystery of this jungle is enough to freeze the blood in your veins, a secret so terrifying that simply knowing it could mark you for death. This is the story of Hilang, a tale of two police officers who dared to peel back the layers of this horror only to find themselves trapped in a web of black magic, greed, and a conspiracy that goes all the way to the top. They are about to learn that in this village, the dead don't always stay buried, and the devil is always watching, waiting for his due. Now, let us rewind. Let us step back into the past, to where this nightmare truly began, to understand the blood debt that has been slowly building for decades. The story starts years ago, in that very same jungle, bathed in the eerie light of a humid afternoon. Two siblings, a brother named Munir and his younger sister, Myra, were standing before that towering alien structure, the anthill. It was a thing of nightmare, pulsing with a silent, malevolent energy. Munir, being the older brother, was trying to spook his sister, weaving tales about the haunted mound. He told her that the richest man in the village had vanished right here, and that his wife, in a fit of madness, had slaughtered her own child and fled into these woods to hide. Myra, however, was made of sterner stuff. She refused to be scared. Munir, annoyed by her bravery, challenged her. If she wasn't afraid, he said, she should touch it. He taunted her, pushing her buttons until she stepped forward. But just as she reached out, Munir shoved her, a cruel prank that went horribly wrong. Myra stumbled, her hand crashing against the jagged rocks at the base of the hill. The skin tore open, bright red blood blooming instantly on the dark stone. They thought it was just a cut. They were kids. They didn't know that in this place, blood is a key. It is a signal. And then the impossible happened. Myra changed. Her eyes went blank, her body contorted, and a voice that wasn't hers spoke through her lips. She wasn't just injured anymore. She was possessed. A Jinn, a malevolent spirit, had taken hold of her, answering the call of her blood. To save her, her family had no choice but to drag her to the local healer, a man named Akub. Akub was a man of mystery, a man who walked the line between the holy and the profane. He performed rituals, chanting verses that made the air vibrate, fighting the darkness that had consumed the little girl. But the cost was high. Akub's help in those rituals helped from his own son, a young boy named Yusuf. Together, father and son battled the entity inside Myra, but the spirit was too strong. Or perhaps the ritual was too dark. Myra didn't survive. She died that night, her soul lost to the shadows, and Munir was left with a heart full of hatred. He blamed Akub, he blamed Yusuf, he blamed the black magic that they practiced. In his eyes, they were murderers. Years passed. The jungle grew denser, and the secrets festered. Now we find ourselves back in the present day. Munir has returned to the village. He is no longer the boy who played games by the anthill. He is a man hardened by life and now a police officer. But his grief is a stone he carries in his chest, cold and heavy. The first place he goes, before even seeing his home, is the graveyard. He stands before Myra's grave, the silence of the dead pressing in on him, but he is not alone. A man named Yusuf is there. Seeing him sparks a fire in Munir's blood. It's been years, but the rage is fresh. Yusuf tries to speak, his voice low and placating, telling Munir that the past is dead, that they must let it go and look forward. But Munir isn't interested in peace. He wants revenge. The tension in the graveyard is palpable, a storm waiting to break. Just as Munir's fists clench, ready to unleash years of torment, another figure steps into the graveyard. It is Siti. Siti is a police officer assigned to work with Munir on a new, disturbing case. She is sharp, observant, and she can see the volatile chemistry between these two men. She intervenes, her voice cutting through the thick hatred. There is a murder case, she tells them. A body was found near the graveyard. A young girl, and they need to work together to find the killer. Munir is reluctant, but he is a professional. He pushes his anger down, locking it away deep inside, and turns his mind to the work. However, working with Munir is not easy. He is a lone wolf, arrogant, rude, and he refuses to listen to anyone. Siti finds him infuriating. They clash immediately, their partnership friction from the very first moment. But as they stand there, amidst the graves, Munir suddenly freezes. For a split second, the world around him dissolves. He sees his sister Myra, standing right in front of him, just as she was the day she died. He blinks, and she is gone. Was it a ghost? Or a hallucination born of guilt? Meanwhile, Yusuf drives away, leaving the graveyard and the hatred behind him. He is heading to his father's house, a place he left 10 years ago. Yusuf has been in Egypt, running from the memories of this village, trying to escape the legacy of his father, Akub, but the past has a way of pulling you back. We learn that Akub, the man Munir hates so much, is a Kabaraya traditional healer, and he isn't alone. He has raised a girl named Wangi since she was a baby. Wangi is blind and she is the light in Yusuf's dark world. He brought her a gift from Egypt, a small token of his affection, and it's clear to anyone watching that he loves her deeply. When Yusuf arrives, the house is exactly as he left it, pristine and clean thanks to Wangi. He finds her in a small cottage behind the main house. She is cold to him at first, ignoring his calls. She is hurt. He left her here for 10 years without a word, but Yusuf is persistent. He apologizes, pouring his heart out, promising never to leave her again. Wangi's anger melts away as she forgives him. Yusuf helps her put on the bracelet he brought, and for a moment, there is peace. They walk through the village, a strange contrast to the darkness surrounding them. Yusuf sees the fear in the people's eyes when they look at his father, but Wangi defends Akub, insisting he is a good man who helps the village. But Yusuf isn't convinced. He knows the power his father wields, and he worries that it will only bring them enemies. The village itself is a powder keg. Everywhere you look, there are banners protesting Project Highway. A wealthy, powerful man named Jamil is pushing to build a massive highway straight through the village. It would destroy homes, uproot families, and pave over the ancient jungle. Jamil is a man used to getting what he wants, and he uses his money and influence to pressure the villagers to sell their land. But there is resistance. People like Maheshwari, a strong-willed landowner, refuse to sell. She tells Jamil that this land belongs to her ancestors, that no amount of money can buy the history buried in the soil. This resistance is making Jamil desperate, and desperate men do dangerous things. At the local school, the tension is spilling over onto the children. We see two boys fighting in the dirt Musa, the son of a man named Tabe, and another local kid. The teacher, Rashid, breaks them up, but there is a darker undercurrent here. Rashid looks at outsiders, kids whose families aren't from the village, with pure disdain. He hates them. Musa's father, Tabe, is one of those outsiders, an illegal immigrant who has managed to build a life here, even owning a large house. It doesn't make sense. How can an illegal immigrant afford such a place? It asks a question that sticks in Munir's mind when he and Siti go to interview Tabe about the dead girl found near the graveyard. Tabe is nervous, evasive. He claims he saw the body, but he identified it as a girl before the police even confirmed the gender. How did he know? Munir presses him, but Tabe shuts down, retreating into his silence. Back at the station, the investigation hits a snag. The chief, the ASP, is breathing down their necks. But he's not interested in justice. He's interested in closing cases. He's in Jamil's pocket, just like everyone else in power. He wants Munir and Siti to work fast and keep their heads down. But Munir has never been good at following orders. He takes charge of the investigation, pushing Siti to the side, driven by his own demons. He is obsessed with the connection between the dead girl and the dark magic of the jungle. He drags Siti back to the anthill. The air there is thick with the smell of incense and decay. Candles are melted into the mud and dried blood stains the rocks. Munir is convinced this is a sacrificial site. He wants to take samples, but as Siti reaches out, Munir stops her. He remembers Myra's blood on this very spot. He is terrified that touching it will trigger something, some curse or entity. He collects the samples himself, his hands shaking, not from fear of the police, but fear of the unseen. As the sun sets, the village prepares for the annual sports day. It should be a celebration, but the shadow of missing children hangs over it. Haikakul, a young boy and the son of Arsu, goes missing. His friends Ramesh and Caliph are frantic. They had seen something terrible, a video on a phone. They saw teacher Rashid with a young girl named Janet in a compromising position. They stole the phone to expose him, but now Haikakul is gone. During the races, Rashid chases the boys, desperate to get the phone back. Haikakul runs for his life, disappearing into the dense foliage, never to be seen crossing the finish line. That night, the jungle comes alive with searchlights and cries. Yusuf, plagued by terrible nightmares, sees Haikakul in his dreams running, but his head is twisted backward, his face staring at his own heels. Yusuf wakes up screaming, the vision burned into his retinas. He knows, with a certainty that chills his bones, that Haikakul is in danger. He runs into the jungle, drawn by a force he doesn't understand until he finds himself at the anthill. He is covered in blood, holding a banner from the construction site. The villagers find him there and assume the worst. They think he is the killer, a sorcerer who has sacrificed the boy. But when the blood is tested, it comes back as chicken blood. A red herring. But the police, Munir included, still suspect him. Why was he there? What is he hiding? Munir is drowning in his own obsession. His personal life is falling apart. He is divorced, and his ex-wife calls him, begging him to take his daughter, Husna. He refuses, too busy chasing ghosts. He can't see that he is losing the only family he has left. In the meantime, Siti is doing the real police work. She discovers that the illegal immigrants in the village are being brought in by boat by men working for Jamil. They are cheap labor for the highway, and they are disposable. Siti also manages to get CCTV footage from a local farm owned by a man, Stephen. The footage is blurry, but it shows a luxury car Jamil's son's car stealing chickens from the farm. Why would a rich kid steal chickens? Unless it wasn't chickens he was after, but something hidden nearby. The web is tightening. We learn that Jamil has a son, Kamal. Kamal is a sociopath, a young man who feels nothing but rage and entitlement. And he has a secret connection to Arsu, the mother of the missing boy, Haikakul. Years ago, they had an illicit affair. Haikakul is Jamil's illegitimate son. Kamal knows this. And he hates his half-brother. He hates that his father sends money to Arzu, that he cares about a bastard child. In a fit of jealous rage, Kamal kidnaps Haikakul. He locks him up in an old, abandoned house used by the illegal immigrants. He doesn't mean to kill him, just to hurt his father. But things go wrong. Haikakul tries to escape. Kamo panics. In the struggle, Haikakul dies. The search for Haikakul leads the police to the immigrant hideout. Munir finds the room where the boy was held, but he is too late. The body is gone, dumped in the jungle. A few days later, Haikakul's body is found in the woods. The village is devastated. Arzu is broken beyond repair. Munir feels the failure like a physical blow. He blames himself. If he had been faster, if he hadn't been so distracted by his hatred for Yusuf, maybe the boy would be alive. But the horror isn't over. The autopsy reveals something gruesome. Haikakul wasn't just killed, his organs were harvested. Kamal wasn't just a jealous brother. He was part of an organ trafficking ring, supplying parts to the highest bidder. The trail leads back to Rashid, the teacher. Munir and Siti raid Rashid's house, expecting to find evidence of the murder. Instead, they find a nightmare hidden in a closet. Janat, the young student Rashid was obsessed with, is there, drugged and confused. Munir sees her, and for a second, the image of Myra superimposes over the terrified girl. The rage that Munir has suppressed for years explodes. He attacks Rashid, beating him mercilessly, screaming about his sister, about black magic, about the corruption of the soul. Siti has to pull him off, physically restraining him to stop him from becoming a murderer himself. It takes minutes for Munir to come back to reality. When he does, he sees Janet, not Myra. The realization crashes down on him. He is losing control. Rashid, broken and bleeding, confesses everything in the hospital. He didn't kill Haikakul, but he used black magic talismans and spells he bought from local shamans to control Janet's mind to make her love him. It's a sickening abuse of power. He reveals that the person who made the talisman is none other than Wangi, the blind girl Yusuf loves. This throws suspicion onto Yusuf and his family again. Munir wants blood. He wants to believe that Yusuf and Akub are the root of all this evil. While Munir and Siti unravel the trafficking ring, Yusuf is fighting his own battle. He's having visions of a woman in traditional Indian dress, dancing a hypnotic dance before a demon. He sees death coming for Maheshwari, the landowner who refused to sell her land. He tries to warn them, but no one listens. Why would they? He is the town pariah. Sure enough, Maheshwari is found dead, poisoned, and the television in her house is playing the same Indian dance Yusuf saw in his vision. The police, specifically the corrupt SP, this as the perfect opportunity to frame Yusuf. They arrest him, claiming he used black magic to kill her, but there is no evidence. The forensic report on the blood found on Yusuf earlier confirmed it was chicken, and there is no trace of poison on him. They have to let him go, but the ASP warns Munir to back off. He is getting too close to the truth about the highway project and the powerful men behind it. The truth is finally coming together, piece by terrifying piece. Munir and Siti realize that Jamil is the mastermind. The highway project is just a front. He is using the land to smuggle in immigrants for cheap labor and to traffic organs. Kemal is his enforcer, a violent loose cannon that Jamil can no longer control. Even the ASP is involved, taking bribes to look the other way. But Jamil is starting to realize that his son is a liability. Camille is out of control, killing children and innocent landowners. Jamil tries to distance himself, but it's too late. In the midst of this chaos, the past and present collide at the anthill. Munir, desperate for answers, decides to confront the source of his pain. He and Yusuf, enemies forced together by circumstance, go deep into the jungle to the anthill. They are looking for Maheshwari's killer or perhaps the ritual site. Exhaustion takes over and they fall asleep in Munir's car. Munir dreams. He dreams of Myra. She is running around the car, laughing, playing. He wakes up disoriented, stumbling out of the car into the dark woods. He sees her standing there, just beyond the reach of his headlights. He runs to her, his heart pounding, calling her name. He reaches out to touch her shoulder, but just as his hand makes contact, Yusuf grabs him. Munir spins around and comes face to face with a monstrosity. Myra's face twists into a demon's visage, shrieking in the dark. Munir screams, waking up fully. It was a hallucination, a trick of the mind fueled by guilt and exhaustion. But then a real scream cuts through the night. They run toward the sound and find Maheshwari's body, and next to her, Ramesh, one of Haikakul's friends, weeping in terror. She has been poisoned, just as Yusuf foresaw. The village is in a panic. 3 murders in a week, and the police are powerless. The blame falls squarely on Yusuf and his family. The mob wants justice. Munir is torn. His hatred for Yusuf is still there, burning deep, but his instincts as a detective tell him something is off. The pieces don't fit. Siti sees it too. She realizes that the ASP is sabotaging the investigation, protecting Jamil. She convinces Munir that they are fighting a war on 2 fronts, the supernatural darkness in the jungle and the human corruption in the station. Yusuf, released from custody but a prisoner in his own home, tries to fix his life. He proposes to Wangi. He tells his father, Akub, that he loves her and wants to marry her. Akub agrees, but on one condition: Yusuf must learn the truth about Wangi's past. Who is she really? Where did she come from? Wangi has always been evasive about her history. But Yusuf doesn't care. He accepts her, past and all. However, their happiness is short-lived. Yusuf's visions are getting stronger. He sees the Indian woman again, and this time he sees her death. He knows time is running out. The final act of this tragedy begins at Jamil's estate. Jamil, desperate to save his own skin and his project, decides to cut ties with his son. He tells Kamal that he has to leave, to go into hiding, but Kamal is furious. He has done everything for his father, killed, kidnapped, tortured, and now his father wants to discard him like a tool? The tension snaps. Kamal pulls a gun on his own father. In the chaos, the truth spills out. Kamal reveals that he killed Haikako, his own half-brother, out of jealousy. He killed Maheshwari because she had a file containing evidence of the entire operation, evidence that could send Jamil, Stephen, and the Aspi prison for life. Kamal took the file, thinking it would make his father proud, but Jamil only sees a noose around his neck. Meanwhile, Munir and Siti are closing in. They have found the evidence they need, the file Kamil took, which he foolishly kept. They raid the immigrant hideout where Kamil is hiding. A firefight ensues. Kamal is cornered. He tries to shoot his way out, but he is outnumbered. In a last desperate act, he attempts to flee on a motorcycle, but he is gunned down by the police. The monster is dead. But the mastermind, Jamil, remains untouched. Back at Jamil's mansion, Jamil is celebrating. His son is dead, taking the fall for everything. He thinks he is safe, but Munir isn't done. He storms into the mansion, bypassing the security, and confronts Jamil in his living room. Munir throws the file in Jamil's face. It's over. The evidence is out. Jamil tries to bribe him, to threaten him, but Munir is immune. He has faced demons in the jungle. A corrupt businessman is nothing. He arrests Jamil on the spot. But the story isn't over. The darkness in the jungle has not been vanquished. Munir finally sits down with a cub, the man he has hated for 20 years. He wants answers. Why did Myra die? Was it black magic? Akub, old and tired, looks Munir in the eye and tells him the truth. It wasn't black magic that killed Myra. It was a demon. A real, ancient evil that lives beneath the anthill. Akub is not a sorcerer. He is a guardian. He has spent 40 years performing rituals not to summon evil, but to keep it contained. He pretended to be a dark magician to scare the villagers away, to keep them from disturbing the anthill. Because he knew that if they kept coming, if they kept sacrificing, the seal would break and the devil would rise. Yusuf, listening to this, is overwhelmed. He sees his father in a new light, not a villain, but a hero who sacrificed his reputation to save the village. But it is too late. The rituals have failed. The sacrifices have weakened the barrier. The visions Yusuf has been having are not warnings, they are previews. The final night falls over the village. The air is still, too still. Munir, Siti, and Yusuf find themselves drawn to the anthill one last time. The moon is obscured by clouds, casting the jungle into pitch blackness. They can hear it, a low, rhythmic thrumming, like a heartbeat, coming from deep within the mound. The ground shakes. The birds and insects have gone silent, fleeing in terror. Yusuf steps forward. He knows what he has to do. The power Akub used, the power of the verses, flows through him. He begins to chant, his voice weak at first, then growing stronger, echoing off the trees. Munir and Siti stand guard, their weapons drawn, not against a man, but against the darkness itself. The earth cracks open at the base of the anthill. Smoke, thick and sulphurous, pours out. Shapes form in the smoke-twisted, mocking faces of the children who were sacrificed. They scream, a sound that tears at the soul. Munir sees Myra among them. She reaches out to him, her eyes begging for help. Munir's resolve wavers. He wants to go to her, to save her this time, but Siti grabs his arm. It's not her, Munir, it's a trick. She screams, her voice barely audible over the rising roar. The devil rises. A form of pure shadow and hate towering above them. It lunges, not at Yusuf, but at the offering of blood it has been promised. It feeds on the pain of the past, on the hatred Munir has carried for so long. The devil uses Munir's guilt against him, paralyzing him. Yusuf screams the final verse, dropping to his knees. The power of the words hits the shadow creature like a physical blow. It shrieks, a sound like grinding metal, and recoils. The ground shakes violently. The anthill begins to collapse in on itself, the dirt swallowing the whole. The shadow fights, clawing at the edges of the closing pit, desperate to stay in this world. But the seal is holding. The combined will of the guardian sun and the innocent souls is pushing it back. With a final, earth-shattering roar, the devil is pulled down. The hole slams shut. The dust settles. The jungle is silent once more. dawn breaks over the village. The sun rises, casting a pale, weak light through the trees. Munir, Siti, and Yusuf stand amidst the ruins of the anthill. It is just a pile of dirt now. The evil is gone, but the scars remain. Munir looks at the spot where he saw his sister. He doesn't feel rage anymore. He feels peace. Finally, after 20 years, the ghost of Myra is laid to rest. Jamil, Stephen, and the Aspar all behind bars, thanks to the file and Siti's diligent police work. The village is safe from human greed, at least for a while. Wangi waits for Yusuf at the edge of the jungle, her sightless eyes seeming to see him clearly. Yusuf walks to her, his father's legacy finally understood. He is not a sorcerer's son. He is a guardian's heir. He takes her hand and they walk away, leaving the shadows behind. Munir watches them go. He looks at Siti and nods. It's time to go home to his daughter. It's time to be a father again. The jungle is silent, but it is no longer watching. The story of Hilang is a testament to the darkness that lives in the hearts of men and the ancient evils that lurk in the wild. It is a story of sacrifice, redemption, and the unbreakable bond of family. But most of all, it is a warning. Some doors, once opened, can never truly be closed. They can only be guarded forever.